Hi, my name is Róża. This is my channel Możliwe. In English means possible. Today my guest is Isabel Aagard, CEO LastObject. Hi Isabel, thank you for coming.
Hi, Rosa. Thank you for having me.
Isabel, you're running to the business with your brother and your friend. Where did you get the idea and for who your products are made?
We got the idea. Well, now it's 3 years ago, but we're all designers, product designers. So we were working in different areas. I was working in the medical industry, and the boys were working more with industrial design. And we love designing, but we just really wanted to use the skills and the things that we know how to do in a really positive and like really make a difference for the environment. My friend had just had his kids, and me and my brother were also I think my brother had also just got his first, and so everything was like we're also really looking at the new generation, and we wanted to make sure that we could at least use what we knew to how to do, which was design, but in the most positive way. So I think it was more like it was more an inspiration. We really we were inspired to do something else, and then we started figuring out, okay, if we had to do something, it had to be massive. And that's where we started looking at the single-use industry, and we were like, okay, this is not just making a chair a little bit more sustainable, or making cups in a different material. This was massive. Like if we could actually change the habits of people who use thousands, millions of something every year, then that would have a really, really big impact. But we had to go, and that's your second question, we had to like not just hit the interest of really eco warriors, but we also had to really find find a way to get to the broad, not looking at like, you have to do this, but it's a little uncomfortable, but it's saving the planet. It had to be very convenient. It had to be really easy. And then it's just like an added benefit that it also enormously better for the environment. So that was our goal. And that's also, I think, why the people that we're selling to now, it's such a broad audience, because we've hit something very a sweet spot in people's lives, because we're not demanding a huge change. We're just doing things a little bit different, but it has a massive impact. So but mostly women, my age.
Okay. In order to get money for your business, you use the Kickstarter, but it wasn't the first time. Did previous experience helps?
Definitely. We've done a lot of failed Kickstarters and a lot of failed companies. I think that everything that you do throughout your life changes, how you're going to do the next one. And it's been a huge learning curve. We've also made mistakes in the company we are in now, and we've done them before. They were cheaper to do before, so those I really value a lot. But yes, we've done some Kickstarters that did not go well, and then we've really learned how to make the next one. So actually, when we launched our first product, we had combined at least a handful of campaigns, so we knew how the system worked.
Mm-hmm. What advice you would give other people who want to use Kickstarter, and what they should avoid?
I think for us, the huge benefit that we get from using Kickstarter is the validation, because sometimes, and that also is hence the not successful campaigns. And sometimes you have to do things 5 times before they're a success. And as a designer, especially, or somebody who's developing a new technology, you're kind of in a new spot where it's like, would people actually want to clean their ears and wash it afterwards? This is a question. It's not like, okay, I've just found out that this is absolutely amazing and you should all try it, and it's absolutely, this is just the way to go. That's not how the world works. So the biggest like advice I can give anybody is like, test it out, try try to do a successful Kickstarter, try to like explain how your product works, how you want to be shown, that whole experience of actually, boiling down your concept to some easy phrases so that they're easy to understand, or make a video. That is a huge learning. And even though your first Kickstarter, it doesn't go well, or your first company, or, it's not because you shouldn't be independent business owner. It's just because maybe you should try something else, or in a different way, or get somebody on board who can help you with the things that you lack.
You create revolution products. Then aren't you afraid of people copy them?
They do copy them. I was actually quite surprised. It wasn't a fear, but yeah, after 3 days on Kickstarter, we had the first copies. First, it was just, our pictures, and then like, and then suddenly like they got production up and running quicker than we did. So it went really fast, but I don't think that you should be too scared about it, because there's always going to be people that copy you, and you just need to run faster, and you need to make good decisions. They're not going to make good decisions. They're not going to, when we changed the material of the box of the swab, and also the swab itself, and we've like innovated on our innovation like 50 times since we began this process, since we actually started designing it. So, and that's what, 3 years ago. So all of these like steps that we've had to improve our products, because we have good values, because we have built our company around creating a sustainable and way of living, then we are, we're far away from everybody who's just like copying something quick. And as soon as my mother is also a designer and has been copied quite a lot in her life, and she always said, you just have to have the new collection in your hand while the others are still, trying to copy the last collection. And that's kind of how, you just have to keep designing, you have to keep improving your products or in your product line. And then you'll definitely have a business that's big enough.
In one interview, you said that you are coming from an entrepreneur family. How that type of bring influence for your business?
Well, I think it's just been very natural for me and my brother to, first of all, work together, because we've worked together with our parents, but also to, in general, actually not be afraid of being an entrepreneur. And that sounds weird because it's not like a skill. It's just, I think that if I went home to my parents after studies and said, I'm going to become a nurse, I think they would be shocked. I think that would be like, okay, well, that's going to be challenging, Isabel. Like that's going to be, that's going to be hard and rough. And like, but coming home and being like, I'm going to start my own business. Everybody's like, okay, awesome. Like, let me know if you need any help. Like, so it was more natural for me and also for my brother. And we've actually had very few jobs in that sense. That wasn't our own making. So yeah, it's a trait.
What was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome to develop your startup?
Oh, I think that well, it's been in phases. So in the beginning, trying to find out what our voice is, trying to find out how we simplify, because sustainability as a word being very misused. There's a lot of greenwashing out there, and that's because it's actually quite complex to actually look at these ideas, these companies, and see what is sustainable, what is not, how should we live, what would really make a difference. And I think, first of all, figuring out yourself, and then afterwards trying to explain people why, a paper bag maybe necessarily is not better for the environment than a plastic bag, which doesn't make sense. So that was quite a journey to kind of figure out how we should phrase it, how we should talk about it, and also how we should also not talk about some things, because they're so complex, and that's not necessarily what people buy. They want the easy way out. So we just have to make the right decisions as a company. We have to choose the right, and I can explain every single part and why we do it as we do and why that is the most sustainable thing for us to do right now. But that would be like, you know, a really, really long book. So I think that was like the first obstacle. Now, 3 years into our company, the obstacles are more in trying to figure out how we can scale, because, you know, we're startup people, we can start things up, but, you know, getting the right people on board so that we can be an organization, we can organize structure and make sure that like the floor is straight so that we can run faster, and not just like double, but like, you know, 10 times faster. The exponential like curve that we have to hit for us to be what we think we can, and what I believe would also make a huge difference. That is the obstacles that we're sitting with now, is the scaling, and also the us not knowing, you know, how to or just I'm personally talking about it. How do I actually go out from the mindset of an entrepreneur, a startupper, and then go into the more organizational understanding of a company and taking the decisions that make sense. But that's why we have amazing people around us that are helping us with exactly that, or at least me.
Where we can buy your products?
We can buy all of our products at lastobject.com. And right now we have a few. We just did a Kickstarter, so that one will be probably available from March on our website. And right now it's on Kickstarter.
Okay. Using all your products, we can save money, or there is something more to it?
Definitely, all of our products, if you use them in the right way and you take care of them, then they save you, especially like the tissue box. There are some like products that really make actually an economic difference. But it is definitely the environment that is our biggest focus. It's just when you solve one of them, you actually solve the other one, because it makes sense. If you have to produce something again and again and package and ship it, then if you have something that you just have, you know, produced, packaged once in very sustainable way, and then sent to your door once, then that makes a huge difference, but it accumulates on years.
Which product is your favorite and why, and how we can wash them?
Yes, so it's different. The swabs, they're mostly just washed by hand. The tissues and the rounds can go in the washing machine. All of our silicone cases, like the tissue boxes, both of them, they can go in the dishwasher. So it's quite easy to kind of, you know, clean them and have them into some kind of rhythm of your house. My favorite product, and it's really weird because I didn't design this product, but I love it. It's a Last Tissue big box or box. So it's like the huge case that we have with 18 tissues. And this is mainly because I have a little boy, and he is like his nose is constantly running, and there's always like food, you know, everywhere in the house, and having like these tissues constantly, like being able to, like, you know, blow his nose and like wipe off like little excesses, and even like he loves playing with it, so he also just like, it's his favorite toy. It's being multiple purpose used at my home.
Great solution.
Yeah, that's my favorite product, and that's the one that we use the most, and also the baby swab. But again, because of him, like I have earwax, but a baby has like enormous amounts, or at least mine does.
What has changed from impossible to possible over the years running to the business?
I think in the beginning it was impossible for us to get into like huge chains like Whole Foods. That's possible now. Like, we have the structure, we have the interest for them, and this is amazing, like that we are there now, which is crazy. I was very, very impressed by a a young woman or a woman my age who is called Lauren Singer. She did this amazing campaign many years ago where she like wanted to reduce her waste, and she did it in this very on a blog, and she ended up doing a whole company and detergents, all of these things. And I just remember like just going to school and being so impressed, like following everything that she did. And now we're so big that we're actually in contact with her. And I think that's so amazing. Like things, it's like the next thing is that like what someday I can call Barack Obama, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So I think things like that, you kind of you're suddenly at the level where the people that you looked up to or the companies that you love suddenly have your products.
Do you feel responsible to change habit, people?
Definitely. I think that is one of the things that I don't want it to be difficult. And it's not, I'm not going to be like a communicational company. We do products, we help with the products to change habits. But I think that if we have to actually make a difference and really both clean up in our world, but also make sure that we don't, that the future generations are not as wasteful as we have been. I think that the habits have to be changed because they also, I see my son, like he's never had a single-use tissue wiped on his face, and he's completely into all this. Like he would empty it with me, put it in the washer. Like it's a habit for him now that's what we do, and that's how we have tissue paper at home. And I think that as many people that we can touch now, and that will trickle down to everybody who the younger generation. So definitely we are in the business of changing habits.
What was the worst advice you get from other entrepreneurs when you start to open your company?
I think the worst advice is when people keep saying that's not possible. And it's you kind of also want to fight it, but when people come to you and they're like, yeah, you know, you're gonna have a success now, but it's not gonna last, or like, oh, that's a little icky. Are you sure you want to be, you know, behind? I remember once I was told, wow, are you sure you want to put that on your LinkedIn that you are, you know, a designer of a cotton swab? Like that's quite disgusting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I don't even understand. Like, this is a mission, and I'm so ready for being, you know, the earwax queen. That's perfectly fine if it's gonna make us go the places that we want to go. So all the comments and everything that I've had from other entrepreneurs that are discouraging, I think that's been like the worst.
Mm-hmm. And the best advice you can give other people who create a business like you?
I think the best advice I can give in general for anybody who's starting up a business is to have some kind of sustainability, eco-friendly, eco-living, you know, anything that zero waste can also be definitely a focus, but I don't think that there are going to be any companies that don't have this focus in some way that become big now, because we are in a world that's shifting and everything is about being more green or using less energy. And I think that this is enormously important for us. So I would always suggest people to have some kind of angle, even though it's, you know, they're creating dishwasher powder or coffee grinds, or it doesn't matter. Like there's so many steps in a business where you can make a difference in the environment and also in what you want to explain to your customers and how they should use your products. So always have this green angle. And of course, we're born green, we're born out of that focus. And you don't necessarily have to do that. You can definitely, you know, create it in a different way. But that would be my biggest. And then just like keep testing, keep changing, and maybe in 10 years, it's going to be a whole different thing that we're going to do in the world when we're creating new businesses.
What's your biggest mistake?
To this date, the biggest mistake I did was designing something too quick.
Mm-hmm. Is bad?
When COVID, what?
Is bad? Design is something quick? Is bad?
It can be if it goes a little bit too fast, if something is not, I like when we design really quick. So when I say really quick, it's like it's exponentially quick. and then
One hour?
and then and that can kind of then sometimes you haven't thought a whole design through and you haven't tested it enough, and then it will maybe not have a place in the market that you hope. We did this with Last Mask and Spray. It was a good idea, and it was, the pandemic had just hit, and we wanted to create something that would lessen all of the single-use items that we saw already in the beginning starting to accumulate. Nobody knew how long this pandemic would stretch. Nobody knew how many countries it would hit, but I've seen a lot of designs on masks and sprays and combinations that are really well thought out. And I don't feel that ours was as well thought out. I think that it does serve some purposes that are really great, but if we had used more time on this, I think that we had gone to a better place with that product.
Mm-hmm. You created the company with your brother. Taking it for a board part of family is a good idea?
For us, it is. But as I said, like we've always been working together in some context, and hopefully we also have an older brother that we're trying to pull into the company. If that is going to work, that would be amazing. But we've since we were very, very small children always worked together, and also with our parents. And I can't even imagine like not working with for example, a future partner. So I think that this is like kind of a context that we are in. And that's why it really works for us. I haven't, well, of course, there's always, you're really in on each other. You know what we're doing, but we also know when the other one maybe is a little bit stressed. And that's really nice, because then you can kind of level each other out when you have time and energy. I also really, really love that we have other people in the company that is not my brother. So everything is a bit balanced out. I think that if it were only us two sitting, next to each other, that could be a little for several weeks, then that would be a little tedious.
Isabel, how do you share your work?
We share while like the kind of the context we have is that it's still me, Cole, and Nicholas, us three that started the company, that are still, designing and trying things out. And then we kind of like go in on each other's territories and critique each other's designs, or, try to improve them in some way. And if somebody kind of like, gets tired of a design part of it, then the other one can like take that up and continue it in some phase. So in that context, it's very fluent, and there's nobody's really sitting on, you're the one who chooses colors, you're the one who chooses materials. That's not how it works. Everything is very fluent, and a lot about capacity, who has the capacity right now to work on this project.
Mm-hmm. What are your plans for the future?
Well, our plan for the future is to put a huge dent in the single-use industry. Mm-hmm. Really see if we can create a momentum and create some shifting habits across the world, so that we'll see less single-use swabs, single-use tissues, rounds, all of these unnecessary waste being produced. Mm-hmm. And that's the future. And we're going to do it in different ways. We're going to do it with keep improving on our existing collection of products, keep introducing new products, new ways of thinking, also improving in how we talk about it, how we show it, how it can be used in different contexts. I saw a couple of weeks ago, I actually saw a girl who was using our rounds to clean her little, like very, I don't know what kind of dog it is, but it has like a lot of folds. So she was like cleaning his nose. And I was like, okay, I didn't even think about I use it for makeup remover, So I think like getting inspired by all these people using our products in different ways and showing that we can be zero waste in many directions in our lives. And then just getting out there, getting into Whole Foods, getting into these amazing eco shops around the world keep supplying our retailers with what they need so that we can hit the market big.
Mm-hmm. And my last question, how do you feel when you see people using your products?
I am ecstatic. Like if I could use 2 hours a day just looking at, stories of people uploading and using them and showing them. And we did this survey where people were talking about them. I think it's so amazing because as a designer, you kind of also, you're sitting there in your ivory tower and like you've done this design, you're so excited about it, but you don't know if it works. You don't know if people actually think, oh, I open it here and I take them here and oh, I can think this can be dishwash safe, and like put them into a habit. Because one thing is, buying something and using it once, but like buying it and getting it into your household, being part of the Sunday cleaning routine that you clean all of your tissues, and pack them up and you're ready for a month or a week more. I think that's very humbling.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
My guest was Isabel Aagard, co-founder LastObject. Thank you for watching and please subscribe my channel.